All right, it looks like your boy Terence Crawford potentially is manipulating this whole rematch clause, right? For those of you who don't know, Terence Crawford came out stating that in the contract it stated if either fighter, him or Errol Spence, could not make the 147 weight limit, that they would have to put it in writing and basically submit that to the opposite side or the other camp. And I'm guessing whoever else is involved in enforcing the rematch. And most of us, we can kind of see through it. We feel like, he's using this to kind of avoid or step around Errol Spence. We're going to talk about that in this video. What up, YouTube? Big TL Heavy Bad Boxing TV, man. Get your goofy ass in here, hit the bag, hit that like button for your boy. That helps the channel. I appreciate that love. Shout out my gang, D1 Merc 1ML 21 Skinny JT Black Jesus, my guy Troy Jack, Keywan, Rebel Life, Modern King, Letitia, YK World, and my man Tyree Celestine. Big shout out to Tyree for coming and doing and jumping on the show on the live the other day, and my guy Mike Johnson, man, for accompanying me yesterday, or last night, I should say. It ain't even been, I don't believe, 12 hours. Appreciate y'all. And I urge anybody who's a fan of the show, who supports the channel, if you want to come up here, man, with your boy and rock out and talk boxing, I extend that invitation to y'all. Get with me in the DMs on IG at Heavy Bag Boxing TV. Now, I do have something that I want to play for you guys from Steven Espinoza himself, kind of trying his best to explain what he feels, I believe, Terence Crawford is trying to do. Let's go ahead and give that a listen.
Did Errol Spence enact the rematch clause, and is it true that it's up to Terence Crawford what weight class the rematch happens?
He did, Errol did exercise the rematch clause. It's not quite that simple. It's not just saying, hey, I don't want to fight it this way, so I want to fight this place. I mean, the idea is no one's going to, you can't use the weight class to avoid it. So, the reality is if you are actually going to, be at 54 for the foreseeable future, then that's a good excuse. If you're going to stay, at 47, that's fine. But don't say you can't do the rematch because you're at 47 and then take another fight with 54 right after. So it's not just say, I get to determine the weight. It's sort of like, no, let's figure out where are you actually going to be fighting. If you're actually, there's a mismatch in where you intend to be fighting, then there's not a fight to be made. But it's not like somebody can manipulate and just say, nah, today I feel like going to 147, and in 6 months, if I get a big fight, I'll go to 54.
All right. So hopefully you guys was able to follow that. I feel like I need to play that again for you to get a full understanding. I'm going to go ahead and play that one more time so you can really listen to Steven Espinoza on him trying to get you to understand, trying to explain to you what Bud Crawford could potentially be doing.
Did Errol Spence enact the rematch clause, and is it true that it's up to Terence Crawford what weight class the rematch happens?
He did, Errol did exercise the rematch clause. It's not quite that simple. It's not just saying, hey, I don't want to fight it this way, so I want to fight this place. I mean, the idea is no one's going to, you can't use the weight class to avoid it. So, the reality is if you are actually going to, be at 54 for the foreseeable future, then that's a good excuse. If you're going to stay, at 47, that's fine. But don't say you can't do the rematch because you're at 47 and then take another fight with 54 right after. So it's not just say, I get to determine the weight. It's sort of like, no, let's figure out where are you actually going to be fighting. If you're actually, there's a mismatch in where you intend to be fighting, then there's not a fight to be made. But it's not like somebody can manipulate and just say, nah, today I feel like going to 147, and in 6 months, if I get a big fight, I'll go to 54.
Right? So Espinoza doing his best to trying to explain to you exactly what's going on. Like I told you guys, Crawford came out and said that per the contract, it had to be put in writing if either fighter couldn't make the 147 weight limit. Now, Espinoza is coming out telling us, listen, you're not going to be able to use contract stipulation to avoid a rematch. If you have no intentions on continuing to fight at 147 and your future and your immediate future potentially could be fighting at 154 or higher, then in good spirit, it goes on to say, or Espinoza goes on to say, and I didn't put that in the soundbite, that in good spirit, you will have to fight Errol Spence at 154 pounds. And I think for Bud Crawford, he's just going, again, by the contract language, bar for bar, letter for letter, right? And using that to leverage himself or to step around the Errol Spence rematch. Can you be mad at Bud Crawford for trying to do that? Nah, I don't think so. I really truly believe to go to this extent to potentially avoid this rematch with Errol Spence, it's because he's just completely not interested. A lot like a lot of other people in the sport right now who's, not big Errol Spence fans or just boxing fans, period, and understand that a rematch at 47 or 54, probably is the same thing, and they're not interested in seeing this fight. But I think I think Espinoza did a great job of explaining exactly what we're dealing with here, because if Bud Crawford knows he's not going to continue to fight at 47, because listen, if he is going to fight at 47, then you have to be talking about fighting Boots, right? That's going to be next. What other big fights can you already publicly stated that you won't be fighting a Keith Thurman, and we're just going down the line here. It has to be a Boots in this. Keith Thurman had a WBC eliminator, I guess that's what he said it was, versus Mario Barrio. So it's Keith Thurman and Jerron Boots Ennis, right? Those are the fights that you have to be looking at if you Bud Crawford and you're saying that you're staying at 47. He's saying that you can't say you're staying at 47 and going to fight at 47, but not intentionally saying so to avoid Errol Spence. But what he didn't touch on is this whole written, this whole thing about it being in writing and submitted to the opposite camps about the weight issue, right? And that's what Bud is, I guess, standing on. We gotta look for a reply from Steven Espinoza as far as that goes. I think with Errol Spence, man, and with his camp being quiet out, I guess they trying to figure out or just let it play out how it's going to play out. I don't know what lengths Bud Crawford would be willing to go to try and step around Errol Spence at this point. For Errol Spence, it's just a payday. Like I told y'all, man, if the fight does happen at 54, nothing's on the line. It's just a money grab. And it's an opportunity for Errol Spence to get even. I think for Bud Crawford, with him saying that he would go up to 68 to chase undisputed there, it's more legacy than a bag. If you know what I'm saying, if Errol Spence has to be next, he'd rather chase the legacy than a bag. Because listen, he's gonna get paid, a big bag for the Errol Spence rematch. Facts. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's at 154. You can't be mad at him for using this situation to leverage more money if the fight has to take place at 54. But I think he'd rather step around him and continue to chase legacy. But if it has to be at 54 with nothing at stake and it's just a rematch for Errol to try and get some get back and get even and avenge a loss, he wants a bigger bag. You can't be mad at that, man. I understand that shit. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, but you guys let me know what you think in the comment section, man. Bud Crawford trying to leverage this whole situation, manipulating the contract stipulation to the best of his ability. Steven Espinoza trying his best to explain to us exactly what's going on. It almost seems like he feels Bud Crawford isn't moving in good faith when it comes to, or good spirit when it comes to the actual rematch, and picking the weight that they'll do it at, especially if he's not planning on sticking around at 47. And we know he's not. We know he's looking for bigger fights in a bigger weight class if it presents itself. That's all I got for y'all on this one, man. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. Big T Heavy Bag. Talk to him, Roger.
Most motherfuckers don't know shit about boxing.